Hey everybody, Jason here. So I'm working on my tiny house on wheels and I've got the walls framed out. I still need to finish off the back wall where the door is going to be, but I'm gonna leave it for now just so I have a large opening in case I have to, carry in anything large. I'm thinking the bed platform might be too big to fit through a door, so I'll leave it open for now. It's just 2 more 2x4s to frame in later on, so it's not a big deal. So with the walls in place, today I'm gonna work on installing the roof beams. Now, before I do that, I was looking at the tiny house and there's one little thing that I don't really like, and that's the window on the far side of the house. Now, that's where the bed's gonna be, and when I measured it originally, I thought I had enough clearance between the bed platform plus the mattress, and then space before the bottom of the window. There is enough space, but then I was thinking that the bottom of the window is actually gonna be pretty close to body height, and I don't like that. I want it to be a little bit higher. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out the top piece, the top plate of the window, and basically flip it over so that the window is another 6 inches higher. That'll give me what I'm estimating to be 12 inches from the mattress, the top of the mattress, to the bottom of the window. And I figure my body is about 12 inches wide, so that's a lot better than the 6 inches that it would be now. Okay, so I'm gonna take care of that first, and then after that, I'm gonna install the roof beams. Okay, so the window's moved now, and it looks kind of funny, but I'm sure it'll work. I'm still not too sure about the size of the window. I think the width is good. The height might be a little bit too high. So later on, I might add another 2x4 at the top to bring down the height a little bit, but we'll see. Yeah, so the next step is to finish off the roof beams. So I made the roof beams off camera because I was working with epoxy as I laminated layers of Western red cedar on a form that I created. I really didn't want to get epoxy all over my camera, so I didn't film it. The process is really simple, and so I'll talk you through it. I did get a little bit of B-roll. So as you can see, the building form was basically just a piece of plywood that I cut an arch into. So it was a full-length piece of plywood, 8 feet long, and so I knew that overall the length from side to side would be long enough to cover the width of the tiny house. Maximum width I can go is 8.5 feet. So the roof beams aren't perfect by any means, but they're definitely gonna do. They have a nice gentle arc that will allow the rain to run off, but still be flat enough that I can easily put a chimney through or attach an antenna or a roof vent or solar panels later on. Although the beams are laminated up, I still have screws holding them together while I just get them sorted out. And before I measure and put them up in place, I need to do a sand of the 2 sides of the beams as well as the underneath. I could do it later on, but I think it's gonna be a lot easier if I sand them up and get them close to finished now than be working above my head. Okay, so I guess it's time to do the incredibly exciting task of hand sanding all of the roof beams. So I guess I better get started. Okay, so I've got all the beams sanded. Now, before I put them up and secure them on top of the walls, I need to create or modify some brackets. Normally in housing construction, at least in Canada, we use what's called a hurricane clip, and it basically attaches to one side of the wall and then connects to the roof beams. I can't use them with my angled walls, and also the beams are custom size and everything, so I want to have the same strength. Basically, it helps hold the roof down in high winds, and definitely when I'm driving with the tiny house, there's going to be high winds. So what I'm doing is I got some, I guess you'd call them like L brackets. These are, well, they're about 3.5 inches wide, maybe. Let's look. 2 3/4 inch wide. So that's too wide for the top plate of my walls, which is 2.5 inches. And so I have to cut them down slightly so they'll fit. So I'm just using my angle grinder and cutting off 3/8 of an inch so that they'll fit nicely. And then what I'll do is I'll place one on either side of the beam, screw the L bracket into the beam as well as the top plate of the wall, and then I'm also going to use a long screw and screw straight through the top of the beam down into the top plate of the wall as well. There'll be some construction adhesive as well and a wedge of wood. We'll get to that later. So yeah, so anyway, so I've cut a bunch of these already, and I just have to finish off with the rest of them, and then I'll stick my beams up. All right, so the beams are up, they're in place, and they're secured, and that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed the video, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. So before I go, there's one other thing. In the last video, I had a couple comments asking how I got the 6-degree angle for the angle of the walls. And it's kind of difficult to explain in writing, so when I sign off here, I'm gonna show a little demonstration of how I got that angle. So anyhow, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. So I started out with the trailer, and I built the subfloor over top of it. I didn't want the platform to extend past the tires, so that was my width. From there, I put a 2x2 across. I had a maximum height, I had a sleeping platform, and I had a maximum width. So what I did was I put another 2x2 in the center, and that was my maximum height. And I just secured it right to the center. The next thing I did was I marked what I think would be ideal sleeping platform. From there, I added a 2x2 up the side, and double checked my maximum width. After double checking my measurements of the sleeping platform to make sure that this width would be sufficient for the length of the bed, I just took the angle with an angle gauge and then transferred that angle to my chop saw. It just so happened that the angle was 6 degrees.